Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandan podcast.
hi and welcome to. Should I even say this is Khandan? It feels like cheating if I call this a Khandan episode. So Sujoy is not here because he's traveling, and Amrita is not here because she's traveling, and I have my friend Yamini here. Hey, Yamini. And we just thought, we'll just chat about a few things and record it. This is going to be the show. It's going to be a shorter one. I wanted to just post something that was moderately interesting. So, if you're a hardcore Khandani fan, this is probably not going to be the episode. Although, Yamini is also Khandani, you're part of the crew, But we were just talking about not watching Ganpat before we started recording. So I thought, let's just press record and talk about, why we are. So I was thinking of going this Sunday, but nobody has any interest in seeing this movie. It's very odd that no cinema near me is even showing Ganpat. And this is supposed to be like a trilogy or like a few parts of this movie. So this is called Ganpat Part 1, right? So even if I wanted to support Tiger Shroff, I don't know how I would do it. But you have no interest in it, Yamini.
None. What? So I didn't even know it was supposed to be a trilogy. I thought it was just there. And then when you said that, I was like, really? I had no idea.
And then also his posters released for the Rohit Shetty one, I think.
Yeah. I don't know why this barrage of fascism is selling, but everyone is hopping on that train. Deepika's also hopped on the Rohit Shetty train, which is very sad. But
Fascism sells, yeah. People want it. They just want somebody to come in and sort these people out. Do thappad marenge theek ho jayega, that kind of, that's what we need. We just need more thappad. It's funny, right? Like we like on Twitter or Facebook we'll get so many hot takes about how our parents were toxic and the previous generation is toxic, but then it's like, let's go watch some cop movies.
honestly, first of all, I don't think Rohit Shetty is a good director, and then he goes and does this.
Yeah. But it's also, I don't also think he's going to present Tiger in a good way necessarily. Like I think Tiger finally worked for him because he worked with a big banner and kind of like a big, better director than his usual Ahmed Khan, Remo D'Souza crew that he has. And that worked for him. So he's probably trying to do what's the next best thing. But because however we feel about Rohit Shetty, he does have a proven track record. But I just don't think his posters in various states of undress make me want to watch, a cop movie of Tiger Shroff. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you are interested in Leo, though.
I am interested in Leo. I enjoy Lokesh's films. At least I really enjoyed Kaide. And then after that, it's just kind of, I didn't mind Master. It's like, your regular garden variety masala Tamil film. I really did enjoy Vikram. And I know this is not connected to that Kaiti Vikram cinematic universe, whatever, but I am excited to see Vijay and Trisha on screen because it's been a while and they were a big deal back in the early mid 2000s. So I am very excited for that. But honestly, like lately I have not been really watching trailers or anything, so I don't really know what's happening with each. I know that Sanjay Dutt is also in it, um, and I feel like I'm missing people, but I'm sure there's a couple of other exciting
Yeah, I
actors.
have no interest in that movie because I didn't care for Vikram. Was that the last one? I didn't care for Master, and I don't
Hmm.
care for Vijay as an actor. So I just don't think it's going to work for me. So I might watch it at home at some time. But I think
Hmm.
I have to watch Jailer first. I still haven't done that. So and that actually here has good
Yeah.
reviews. Where I think Leo's reviews haven't been that great either. Like the ones that I've kind of posted, read quickly. But honestly, I've been off of Twitter. I've
Yeah.
not. A lot of people came back to me and are like adding me and tweeting me. And honestly, I'm not on Twitter. I just have taken a little break. So that's why maybe I'm not being as reactive, and I also don't know what's going on that much. I did get an email that the new teaser for Salman and Katrina had come out, which I've already watched 20
Yeah.
times already now. So I'm very excited for that. All my attention is pretty much for that. Um,
I figured. Even I'm, to be fair, I'm also like a little bit
yeah,
excited for Tiger 3. I want to see the Shah Rukh cameo. I think that's what's exciting me
it's
the
crazy.
most.
That's crazy talk. You don't want to see Katrina fight in a bathhouse?
Katrina, obviously, Katrina is such a star. Like I'm genuinely annoyed that Katrina doesn't have her own action franchise at this point, because I remember I was talking to a friend when I was like, "Oh, I feel like Katrina should do a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing," and he was like, "No, Katrina should be a Mission Impossible one where she is Tom Cruise. Like she's very Lara Croft Tomb Raider. She should be running an action franchise. What are you talking?" And I was like, "Oh yeah,
I
correct.
would I would
She
love
should."
it. She should, but a lot of these ideas is just paise dubone wali baat. Like this is just people will not go to this. But I also think it should be made to prove where people go to. I thought like that Alia Zafar thing she was doing with Netflix that looked awesome. You know, I
Mhm.
mean even phone booth had
Yeah.
had potential, and I really enjoyed it, but it didn't do much for anybody, right?
Yeah, Phone Booth was one of those where I enjoyed the
Yeah,
trailer and I went in with really high expectations and I couldn't get through the first half an hour
yeah.
also.
I I think it's one of those movies that if you would keep watching it on multiple repeats, you would find more funny. But I just don't think nobody has time for that anymore. You know.
Except you've been watching multiple repeats. Huh?
But it's like Bottoms. Have you seen Bottoms?
I haven't, no, I
Yeah,
couldn't find it anywhere
yeah.
when it came out. It was like difficult to find anywhere nearby that was
Yeah.
showing the film. I
It's
don't
again one of
understand
those
why.
movies that is funnier the more you watch it. But I think in this era, there's just so much content. We just don't watch something multiple times,
Hmm.
right? Like a Dodgeball or a Zoolander.
Hmm.
Initially, when those came out, they weren't that funny, but people kept watching it and
Yeah.
kept finding it funny, and then it became like a much bigger thing. So yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, mm,
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything that's released in the past, I don't know, 5 years that I wanted to watch, like, except Rocky Horror Rani. To be fair, I watched that a couple of times. But yeah, everything that I keep rewatching lately has just been from the 2000s or the 90s, like,
mm.
nothing new anymore.
So what? Why I wanted to get you on the show is because you've been covering the London Film Festival a little bit, right?
Yes, yes, I have.
How are the vibes of the London Film Festival this year?
The film fest, oh, it was huge. I'm thank you, but also like I got really lucky with the press screenings because of you, and I got to see. I saw 17 films. I had like a shortened down list of like 40, and I was like, yeah, I'll go watch all 40. And by the third day of like three films each, I was like too saturated already. I was like, no, I can't. I need
I
to
have a
space it out,
life.
otherwise I don't want
I
to
want
see
to I
anything.
want to eat. I want to sleep.
Literally, it was like that. But yeah, I got to see some films that I really enjoyed. I got to see some that I feel like I feel like I feel like there's something that happens to me at a film festival. I don't know if this happens to everyone, where you feel like because it's a film in a big film festival, it's supposed to be good, so you feel a little bit dense if you don't understand it.
Yeah. Not only dense, but also I
And
feel there's some sort of euphoria that comes over people that see something at a film festival that's really good, and then it
yeah,
hits the mass market and it just kind of dies because you weren't in that same space or that same environment. So a lot of
yeah,
it is festival hype that doesn't necessarily translate to actual numbers or interest in a way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I see that because I see a lot of films that like I know they did well in the festival, but I can't see them like
Hmm.
becoming big.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe I am just a little pessimistic that way. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I can see that's gonna be like really big is probably Killers of the Flower Moon, and that also is like 3 hours. So I don't know how many people actually want
Yeah.
to go watch it because
Plus, it's also an Apple
yeah,
exclusive, so I think you know that it's just going to be in theaters for a very short time. Just and then it's basically
yeah,
just to have an
exactly.
Oscar consideration for Martin Scorsese and all, and then
Mm,
you can watch it at home. So even I
yeah,
am wondering if I should go and watch it in theater or not. Although I'm a huge fan, so I should actually go and support it in theaters in a way, right?
yeah,
But even I'm being lazy.
yeah. It's just the thought of sitting there for 3 hours is what's like. I'm honestly worried because I feel like 10 years ago, 3 hours, I would have
Hmm.
been like, yeah, like your average movie is 3 hours, it's okay. Now I'm like, most of the content that I consume is like 60
Yeah.
seconds.
So, just to kind of give context, because you were thanking me, I need to explain to people what's happened. Basically, we rarely
Mm,
cover film festivals anymore because a lot of those movies aren't that interesting for us or necessarily to the audience. This was the London Film Festival, so it wasn't the London Indian Film Festival. So there were a few Indian movies that came out, but we'll get into that a little. So there was basically Buckingham Murders and Dear Jassi, right?
mm.
Those are the two main ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Stolen as
Stolen as
well,
well. So
no?
who's in Stolen?
Yeah. I think Abhishek
Right.
Banerjee,
Yeah.
couple of people. I don't, I just remember that was the third
Yeah,
Indian
and
one.
and then there's other movies that have come out, like the ones that you mentioned and the ones we're going to be discussing, but they're not necessarily Indian content, so we don't necessarily cover it. Plus, this is our side hustle. We can't spend days and days and days on just watching movies that nobody will, that has no relevance to the show. But you, Yamini, you are a film student, an actual film student, so it kind of made sense that you wanted to see more movies and also just kind of network and hang in the film festival. So we thought, we could send you and you cover the stuff for us, and this is basically why you got the press accreditation, so we could do like a little chat on Khandan podcast for it. So
Yeah.
let's and you also did an interview then, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes, with Tarsem Singh. It's not a long interview, it's about 8 minutes, but it was just talking about Dear Jassi and how he did the casting and how he basically, this film was very much 20 years in the making. Uh, in the sense that the idea started 20 years ago, the film itself was shot in like a
Right.
couple of months.
And so we're going to be adding that
Yeah.
interview at the end of this episode with Tarsem. So thank you for doing that, Yamini. But and then you saw a bunch of other movies that we're also going to be talking about. So let's talk about first the Indian movies you saw. So Buckingham Murders was a mess. You couldn't catch it, right?
No, they so it was initially on the press screenings roster, but then after when they realized like some films had more demand, they just kind of removed it, which was sad because I really wanted to see Karina. The reviews have all been really good on her performance, and yeah, I was hoping to
Yeah,
catch it.
this was directed. This is directed by Hansal Mehta, and I think it's
Hansal Mehta,
also
yeah.
premiering at Mami. So I think in India people can watch it
Mm,
there, and it's generally gotten good reviews. It seems, but it
mm,
has not broken through. Like I've not seen like Gora critics talk about it, and I think that's always the thing with
yeah.
a film festival when you're doing London Film Festival. You want some people outside of the circle to talk about it. And I think the same thing is happening kind of with Kennedy, where a lot of
Mm.
praise was coming from Desi critics, but it has not again broken through. I know that that movie also is going to be playing at the London Indian Film Festival very soon. So me and Yamini will actually be going to see that, and I'm really keen to see that. So we can talk about that at a later stage. But yeah, a shame that Buckingham Murders wasn't available. But you did see, what else did you see Stolen, or did you not manage to?
I didn't manage to see Stolen
Yeah.
either. um, yeah, again, Stolen also. No,
Yeah,
that
it's tough to fit
movie
everything, and it's
don't have
very
the same
tough.
vibe.
And
Yeah,
these movies tend to take the back burner, especially on these international
yeah.
film festivals. So tell me about Dare Jassi. I know that one really touched you, right? And that's from Tarsem Singh, who used to be Tarsem. A lot
Tarsem
of people
Singh,
might
yeah.
know him from The
Yeah.
Fall, which is like an amazing movie that everybody should have on Blu-ray. And The Cell, the
Yeah.
the kind of
The
Jennifer
set.
Lopez serial killer movie, which I really liked. That
Yeah.
visual of that sliced up horse is still in my mind, like visually it's amazing,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean Tarsem, I like Tarsem Singh, I honestly became a fan of his after seeing The Fall because just what an incredible film. Like I caught it very late, like when I really got very into indie cinema and everything, which was during my university. So that was not too long, like about 10 years ago. Um, and I loved that film. And but for some reason, like his other films really didn't break through. Again, like it was a Cell and The Fall, and then I know he's directed other stuff in between, but I hadn't really been able to and they hadn't like broken through, not really like caught my attention because again, like that was also around the time when all these streaming services started becoming really, really big in India, and there was just so much like content that previously you didn't even, have access to. It was
Hmm.
just there constantly. But dear Jesse, like I had been following, like, because it was really big in TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. So and a lot of people are talking about it. And again, it was based on the Jaswinder Singh Sidhu case from Canada that had happened in 2001, the killing of her. So it was a beautiful film. I felt like interesting in the sense that he didn't change anything. It was both realistic but also kind of like these old folk tales, where like you have the bard who's sitting and talking in Punjabi, very much like how the old stories of like Laila Majnu and Soni Mahiwal and all of these
Which was also a
fables,
framing
sort
device
of. It
in The
was,
Fall, right? If you remember, like, yeah,
yeah,
storytelling and
yeah,
movie making, yeah.
yeah. Um, but it was a great film. I thought it was really beautiful. I thought it stuck with me for quite a few. It still stuck with me, I think. And the actors again very like new people, like he just introduced new people. And it was, yeah, I can't say much, like it was very beautifully done. And it's probably, if again like even he says in the interview that if you're familiar with him from The Fall and stuff, this is like completely
Yeah, that's
different
what it
from
looks
that.
like when I'm looking at the visuals. This does not seem like a Tarsem movie, right? It doesn't have those visual flourishes. So,
Yeah.
did you see any of that in the movie, or there was like he's trying to do something stripped down, bare naked, different kind of filmmaking?
It was, I think he also stated that it was very much like he was trying to do something very strict, as in he wanted, well, he explains it better later, but he kind of wanted that like the kind of fantastical storytelling, but really in a
Hmm.
realistic form. So it's not like that cinematography, that kind of visual this that we're so used to from his
Hmm.
other films, but it sticks with you.
It
It really
does,
does.
yeah, yeah. And it's in English or it's in Hindi or Punjabi or
It's in English and
okay,
Punjabi. There's a lot of
right.
Punjabi. Yeah.
I'm not seeing a release date quite yet. Um, like IMDb saying 8 October, but those are festival releases.
No,
So
I don't
I
think.
don't know
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
yeah.
it's has a general release date yet. But I think the people that know Tarsim and his movies, I mean, I've watched all. Like I even like Immortals. I loved Immortals. You know, it came out of that post 300 era, but even I've fallen
Yeah,
off. I've missed out on his last two three movies. I think. So he's
yeah,
kind of disappeared. So it's interesting that he's doing like something very very different at this time. So let's see. I'm
yeah,
excited to watch it, but it's not probably if it has like a very scattered release schedule, it's going to be maybe hard to catch it in theaters. So yeah, what else did you see? What else did you? What else? So you sent me a list of some of the movies you watched, right?
yeah. I saw quite a few. I saw about
Wow.
17 films. Yeah, I know. I just literally had to fit it in between whatever schedules I had. I wanted to watch a few more, like a few of the bigger ones that I couldn't see. Like I said, I couldn't see Killers of the Flower Moon. I couldn't see Poor Things, which is also a really big one that has Emma
The
Stone.
Yorgos Lanthimos movie, right?
Um, yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos, yeah, and the definitely I like aside from the
Yeah.
ones that I've mentioned, I'm sure there are more.
So let's go through a few of the ones that you watched that I think might be interesting because they are
Yeah,
getting a big release or they have a big name attached to it. The first one
yeah,
is Priscilla, right?
yes.
And this is about Priscilla Presley. It's kind of a biography of her. It's directed by Sofia Coppola after a while, also
Sofia
too.
Coppola, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is getting hyped. This is going to be a big movie when it comes out, and you got to watch it already. What are your thoughts on Priscilla, without spoiling anything? Because I think people might be excited to catch this one. And also, I remember you were a huge fan of the Elvis biopic, no? If I'm not mistaken.
I no, honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of the Elvis, like, mostly because like the Elvis biopic was one that I couldn't see the whole thing. I just kind of got bits and pieces, and I heard a lot about it, but I like really refrained from commenting anything because I didn't
Yeah.
see the whole thing. But it is funny because I feel like Austin Butler, he went through this entire like phase of method acting to be Elvis in the biopic and everything, and then Jacob Elordi, who plays Elvis in the
Hmm.
Priscilla one, just he comes in and I mean again because I didn't want to compare, but Jacob Elordi was really good as Elvis. Like he really fits the what's the word? The physicality, the aspect. I mean, so did Austin Butler, but like, I was so surprised to see how Jacob Elordi just did it
Salman
so.
Khanish. He just he
Yeah,
did Salman Khan. He
honestly,
just walks in.
like, like literally, like if that one is
Yeah,
Amir, this
it's
one is
the
Salman.
Dangal Sultan comparison.
But like he knocked it out of the park. Like you can't even say anything. He like, no, this is not how Elvis. Because he really, even with the whole accent, with the stuttering, the way that Elvis used to speak, he does it
Hmm.
quite well.
So how was the movie? How was Priscilla?
Um, so I mean, again, if you are familiar with the story of Priscilla Presley, like she met Elvis when she was really young, when she was still in her
I mean,
teens.
Elvis was kind
Um,
of a pedophile. I mean, we can turn around, talk about it however we want, but clearly, like
yeah,
that's some serious pedophile behavior, right?
no, definitely he
Yeah.
was a groomer, and like what was interesting about this film is like she doesn't paint Elvis in a bad, like it's not like she's doing anything ki like Elvis as a villain tha, something like that, but it's just with the facts you feel like
I think
uncomfortable.
white people are just incapable of being critical of Elvis. It's something in their DNA or their genetics. It's just like the system just breaks down. Like, call it out for what you did, right? Like, I don't get it. Like, yeah.
But that's the thing, like
Hmm.
she does call him out. It's not like how do I where you actively demonize the person, but it's just that you're like showing that, oh, this is what Elvis did, or this is how old Elvis was when he met Priscilla, or this is how he used to control her, and all of that. And it's just the sheer this of it makes you feel so uncomfortable. Like you do see Elvis in a ugh, kind of
Mm-hmm.
light. But I mean, obviously, like she 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 doesn't. You don't go into like demonizing him. It's just like he was a creep,
Mm.
though, and that comes out during the film. Like you just feel so uncomfortable.
And he also
Um,
stole from black artists. So I mean, I've literally never been an Elvis fan. So yeah,
that
that
they
they
don't show.
obviously they
That they
don't
don't
show
show.
like itna criticism
That
ho
they
gaya
don't
Elvis
show.
ka, or like how
Yeah.
will we do it otherwise, Yeah.
Seriously.
So recommend or no recommend, Priscilla?
I think it's a good watch. I could say recommend, but again, really depends on how interested you are in the
Yeah.
story. I feel like if you're not interested in it, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
as sucked in.
The
Yeah,
second one I wanted to hear your thoughts about is Hitman, which is the new Richard Linklater movie.
Richard
It
Linklater.
stars
Yeah,
a hot boy of the summer, Glenn Powell. Um, and the IMDb summary is a professor moonlighting as a hitman of sorts for his city's police department descends into dangerous, dubious territory when he finds himself attracted to a woman who enlists his services. So, how was Hitman? Did it work for you?
Oh, so Hitman again is one that is it's not it's not based on like a true story, but it is based on again like this professor who is like a hitman in
Mm-hmm.
quotations. And it's very interesting because they show it at the end as well. They show the disguises and stuff that he used to use, and it's very interesting. And Glenn Powell is really good in this character, and it's a fun film. It's like um I enjoyed. I think it was like a welcome break from all like the really intense serious films.
So you
Um,
are pro nepotism,
it's a
basically.
lot of
That's what
fun.
you're saying, right? Glenn Powell is good, so you're pro nepotism. Yeah,
Glenn
of
Powell
course he's
nepotism. I
nepotism.
didn't even know that. Oh, I actually didn't know that, but okay, chalo. If you want to phrase it that way, ask him what can I. Abhi if people come after me now, I'll be like, nahi, ask him, nothing. I didn't. I didn't even know.
Wait, what is the Glenn nepotism's thing? He's Glenn Powell Senior, right? So he's also an actor, right? Yeah.
Really? I had no idea. Wow.
Anyway, so I mean, the thing is about this movie, I'm thinking like when you think of a hitman movie, you think kind of like action, John Woo, fast paced, that kind of thing. But Richard Linklater is like the opposite of that, right? So how does that work?
So the thing is, I I don't want to
Okay,
spoil it,
don't spoil it.
but
I want to see this movie, so don't spoil it.
yeah, I don't want to spoil it because it's not. It's it's a subversion of the hitman thing more than it is actually
Mm-hmm.
about like a
Okay.
hitman. Like the premise itself, like in the first 2 minutes, you get what he means by hitman, but it's not like the kind of hitman that you
Okay.
think. Like,
So
yeah.
recommend it or not?
I
Yeah, this is a good
I
one.
think I think people would enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun watch. I could see something like this being made in like Bollywood
Mm.
as well, like just with
Who'd
someone
star
who's
in
like,
it? Who's the Glenn Powell nepo
you
baby?
know, that's what I was wondering because it's very much like he has to be a little bit like a little bit losery, a little bit mischievous, and then like just good comic timing, fun. Doesn't necessarily have to be like great at fighting or anything, but just like just a little bit goofy. Like a young Shah Rukh could have done it,
अबे यार
maybe.
हर चीज
Uh,
शाहरुख पे आ जाती है तुम्हारे साथ कुछ भी हो यार young शाहरुख could have done it. What can
it's
शाहरुख not do,
Khandan. अभी क्या
like
करे? It's Khandan. What can you
oh, you're doing it
say?
for us, you're doing it for the
Uh,
branding.
I'm doing it for the branding, but no, but I feel like Ishan Khattar could do it
Right,
well as
right, yeah,
well. I feel
yeah,
like
that was the
Ishan
name
is
I was thinking of when you said slightly goofy and like, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, like just kind of goofy, but like again, the thing is, in the first half of this film, it's like Glenn Powell is trying to convince you that he's not like a good-looking
Mm-hmm.
man. which I feel like Ishan would also do, like, हाँ, like मैं good
Hmm.
looking नहीं है, and then everyone is like, bro, I can see through your disguise.
Yeah, it's when Katrina Kaif wears glasses in Jagga Jasoos.
हाँ,
That
yeah,
kind of
yeah. मतलब you can't tell only that Katrina is gorgeous जब
yeah,
चश्मे पहने तो नहीं
she's
है ही
wearing
नहीं.
pigtails and glasses and has paint on her overalls.
But how is that
Yeah.
beautiful? You
Oh,
tell me.
remember Doom 3 where she wears that trench coat and then it's like Katrina? I'm like, oh no, oh, ye to hot hai.
Yeah, she was trench coat, she was overalls, she's wearing like some 10 layers, which she
Yeah,
immediately peels off
yeah,
in the next
amazing.
song.
Hitmanism
Love
was
it.
a theme, it seems, because you also saw The Killer, right? Which is the new
Yes.
David Fincher
But
movie starring
yeah.
Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton. And I'll read the
Hmm.
summary. After a fateful near miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. How was
Hmm.
this? I mean, excited, no? New David Fincher movie? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very much the kind of Hitman film that you'd be thinking, which is
Hmm.
not Hitman. Like this is like very much like action, like um
Clinical action,
a
right?
lot
David
of
Fincher
like,
is kind of
yeah,
always like very
clinical
method.
action. Yeah, but in a very Fincher way, like he doesn't like have that action until it's absolutely necessary. It's just like
Hmm.
ominous the entire time. There's just, it's just dark. Half the film is
Hmm.
mostly dark. It's happening in like evenings in these beautiful, beautiful roads somewhere in Europe. Uh, just somewhere in Europe, somewhere in like South America, all these places. He's just, but yeah, I mean, the killer, like, again, it's very, it feels very Fincher. Like, I can't say any other, again, criticism without like, spoiling it. But it is very like Fincher style. It's very, uh, like what we're used to in terms of just the way David Fincher is. But it's I think you need to give this film a bit of time. Like it's not something that will suck you in immediately, or maybe that was just
Where
for
are you
me.
ranking
That
it?
might
Is it
happen for other
top tier
people.
Fincher? Is it up there with like I don't even know what your Fincher ranking is necessarily, but I guess lower half would be Mank. You know,
Yeah, yeah, not like Mank
yeah.
level low. Also, it's much. I feel like because Mank, I couldn't sit through the entirety of Mank. I feel so bad, but it was just like
Like this is my lower
I
level
come to.
Fincher. It's Mank. It's a Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's
Yeah.
maybe Panic Room is in there too.
Mm.
And then yeah, otherwise it's pretty much top tier now, like Gone Girl and Social Network. That's probably top tier, I would say.
Yeah, so for me, like I feel like Gone Girl, Social Network, and Seven are up. This is like maybe around, if not just slightly below Zodiac,
Okay, that's
like around
pretty.
that
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
pretty good
like.
still.
So it's quite. I mean, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's all the way at the top for me, but it is there. And the like in Michael Fassbender pretty much just looks has to look terrifying throughout the entire film, like just like poker face, but also like intimidating, and he can do that
Yeah,
quite well.
Fassbender
So
hasn't been on screen for a while. Like
he
it's been
hasn't.
four
That's why I was
years.
so I
Yeah,
was so excited
four
to see
years,
him.
and so we haven't
Yeah,
seen him in a while. And even Fincher hasn't made a movie for since Mank, which was a Netflix movie, so it doesn't really feel like a proper movie anyway.
exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Two more movies that I'm quite keen on to hear from you is Saltburn. This is
Hmm.
again like let me just pull this up. I think this is one of those directors that is kind of getting more and more well known in critical. It's
Hmm.
Emerald Fennell, right? She's a female director,
Yeah.
and she did Promising Young Woman, which I absolutely love that movie. It's a horrible
Yeah.
watch to
Yeah.
watch, and it's
Yeah.
what was that movie? What was that show? I May Destroy You. Was that the one?
Was she? No, did she do I May
No, no,
Destroy
she didn't
You?
do it, but it's I'm kind of it may be like a double feature because the Michaela Cole show it touches
Yeah, yeah,
upon the
yeah,
same
yeah.
themes in a way, promising young woman,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
weirdly, it's gotten a lot of resurgence on TikTok lately. A lot of the scenes have kind of come back, especially the one with Alison Brie. So
Hmm.
Saltburn is kind of a follow up, and it stars
Yeah.
Barry Keegan and Jacob Elordi again.
Jacob
Yeah,
Elordi
and
again.
I'll read the plot summary. A student at Oxford University finds himself drawn into a world of charming and aristocratic classmate who invites him to his eccentric family's sprawling estate for a summer never to be forgotten. How does that summary sound to you for somebody who's seen the movie?
So I feel like if you didn't know Emerald Fennell as a director, reading that summary would be like, oh, like unlikely rich poor like friendship, hanging out in like a nice estate in like England for the summer. Sounds interesting. But if you do know Emerald Fennell, um, I mean, if you know her from Promising Young Woman as well, like she's, I don't. So the thing is, the things that the characters are fighting for, right? Those are things that you would relate to. Like in Promising Young Woman, as you know, she was. I mean, I think I can spoil it. It's been a while since Promising Young Woman came out, right?
I mean, I think
Is that okay?
we could talk around it. I think let's do it this way. I think
Okay.
you should watch Promising Young Women. It's available on Prime, but we're going to
Yeah.
spoil something out of it for the next 20 seconds or something. Yeah.
Yeah, just a small spoiler, like the film is to deal with
Hmm.
sexual assault and rape. And yeah. And Saltburn is very much part of, the new Eat the Rich kind of films, where, where you empathize with like, the working class struggle and whatever. Same with like in Promising Young Woman when it's about rape and sexual assault, like what the characters are fighting for, the sense of, I wouldn't say in Promising Young Woman, yeah, sure, justice. In Saltburn, very much like social mobility, whatever it is, because you're sick of that working class struggle, sort of. But the characters are not the most likable characters.
Which was the same thing in Promising Young Women, right? Like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why I like Promising Young Woman is because I'm very much for what she's fighting for, but the character itself, you don't like her. The only reason you want her to do well is because of
Yeah.
the cause. But the person itself, you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to be
Right.
associated with this person. Same with Saltburn. Like, whatever, like, this sense of the like you feel for Barry Keegan's character, you feel for all of that, but the character himself is just kind of like
Hmm.
creepy. Like you want to you are on his side, but very like on his side from a
Right.
distance. Like you wouldn't want to be associated with that person is how I felt.
Perfect casting then for
Um
Barry Keegan then because he
yeah,
seriously has that
he's
creepy
such
vibe
a
always there.
star. He's
Yeah.
such a star, like he's such a good actor. And it's honestly there's so many points in Saltburn which are little bit disturbing, and I feel like Emerald Fennell was like, I feel like so many times the studio must have been like, why are you
Hmm.
doing this? Why are you adding this? And I think she just was so you can see the conviction in the way she directs. uh and Jacob Elordi is like very well cast as like that aristocratic uh rich boy from Oxford with the posh English
Hmm.
accent. Yeah, Jacob Elordi, like for me, he's one of those like, especially because I saw two of his films in a very short gap. He's one of those actors that I don't know if I feel like you might notice this, and I feel like this happens exclusively with white actors only, where suddenly they're nowhere, and then soon they're like in
Yes, yes, yes,
everything,
yes.
and you can't. And I feel like this happens exclusively with white actors. Like used to be, I remember it happening with Timothy Chalamet, with Anya
Chris
Taylor-Joy,
Evans.
with Paul
Chris
Mescal,
Evans.
Chris Evans. Like suddenly he was nowhere, and then
Everywhere.
suddenly he's just like
Yeah.
skyrocketed to the top. Like everyone, Glenn Powell for
Yeah.
that matter. Like I can't remember Glenn Powell from 4 years ago, and then suddenly he was just in
Yeah. It's crazy,
everything.
no? Yeah.
So I feel like Jacob Elordi is also on that list now, where he was just like, oh, like couple of years ago, he was just like in some 2, 3 Netflix films, and suddenly he's got like 50 releases, all critically acclaimed, all this. I'm like, how did you? Where? I don't remember where you came from,
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
but you're
Yeah.
everywhere.
Whiteness works in mysterious ways, like it's
Not that
the
mysteriousness.
one that I'm genuinely kind of jealous that I didn't get to watch is the new Miyazaki, A Boy and a Heron, right? And the Heron, right?
Yeah, yeah, The Boy and the Heron.
This, I mean, it's been so long that there's been a Miyazaki movie. Last one was in, let me see, it was in,
Was it The Wind
was that the
Rises?
last one, really?
Was it that? I mean,
I'm just going through.
I think
Wow.
so.
No, yeah, The
I can't
Wind
remember.
Rises in 20, so 10
The Wind
years it's
Rises.
been, right?
10 years,
Yeah,
2013. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
And so it's been a while, and we were expecting him to retire. Apparently, now he's not
Mm.
retiring. He's going to make some more movies. So, how was The Boy and the Heron? Was it worth the wait? Did it deliver everything, or were your expectations just too high?
So the thing is, I have learned not to have expectations from Miyazaki films simply because I can never expect what he's going to
Hmm.
put out. Like it's there's so much abstractness in his abstractness correct only, no? Yeah, it's just his films are very abstract, but also there's like a thin story, but it's just so much like philosophy, animated philosophy within those. And I think it's just him really enjoying animating this fantastical realm or world or whatever that um you kind of just have to go along the journey. It's really, I feel like Miyazaki just makes what he wants, and he just expects you to follow him on
Hmm.
that journey. Like just stand behind him and then like deal with it. And again, it follows very much Miyazaki template. There's like one kid, one talking animal or something, and then just several realms. This one is dealing with like time, space, this fantastical tower. Um, yeah, honestly, and this one I was actually surprised because this one I didn't even have any expectations because I didn't even know that it was being screened. It was very much like a
Wow.
surprise film. It wasn't in the
Yeah.
it wasn't in the initial
Hmm.
schedule. It wasn't in the initial. It's not even in the booklet that the BFI printed because it just came on
Hmm.
late, and they were like, "Yeah,
So cool.
Miyazaki, like we have to show
Hmm.
Miyazaki." But I'm so happy I got to see it. It was you really get pulled into Miyazaki if you stick with him. Like I said, if you're just like behind him completely, you enjoy it. You get pulled into that just the world, everything.
I mean, I didn't like The Wind Rises that much. Like, it didn't work that much for me. Does this work better slightly, or is it more in the vein of, the Ponyos and the Spirited Aways, or where are we here?
It's yeah, it's more in that yeah, it's more in that vein. It's
Hmm.
yeah. I feel like it's weird. It's sort of like in between both
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, slightly esoteric, slightly like, yeah.
Yeah. And again, if you know Miyazaki, again, it's about the premise itself is happening during the war again. So yeah, it's a lot of a part of it feels like, oh, is this like a little bit
It always
autobiographical in the
kind of is a bit
beginning,
like with him, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Is it?
yeah.
Because you know her. Can I take my daughter to this? Because she is excited for
Mm.
Miyazaki movies all the time.
Yeah, I think I think she'd enjoy it, but I think also
She'll get
she'd
bored.
just be like, "What is going
Yeah,
on?" For
yeah,
some like, because you don't
yeah,
know what
yeah.
is going on half the time. You just have
That
to be
makes sense.
along the
That makes
ride.
sense. One
Yeah.
more movie. This was not on my list, but I think you were so excited about it. I want to hear it. And is Memory
Mm.
the one? I think this is the one you like the most out of them, or if I'm not mistaken. Did I
No,
get it
no,
wrong?
no. Monster was the
Monster.
one I
Sorry. Yeah.
liked
So
the
what's
most.
Monster about?
Yeah. So Monster is it's directed by Hirozaku Korida, like the guy who directed. I think his last one that became really famous was The
Right.
Shoplifters.
Yeah, that was quite new.
Yeah, and Shoplifters again. Like I remember the word of mouth that spread for that
Hmm.
film
I
was
still haven't seen it. I
because
haven't
it
seen
was
that one. It's been on my list to watch for ages, but
it.
I just never been in the right mood for it.
Yeah, this one is a monster. I think the reason I mean, all of his films are very. I don't. They're very like heartbreaking.
That's why I haven't watched his other one because I
For
was like, I'm already in a
yeah,
shitty mood. I don't think I want to be in a worse mood.
yeah. They're very heartbreaking, but it's also so it's so
Hmm.
genuine. Like I don't feel like he's trying to make something deep for the sense of making something deep. I think he just looks at the world around him and is like, okay, these are things that happen.
The summary
Um,
of this movie is: a mother demands answers from the teacher when her son begins acting strangely.
mm.
So there's kids involved. How are the kid actors in this?
Yeah, so I mean, the full summary is basically when her young son Minato starts to behave strangely, his mother feels that there's something wrong, and discovering that the teacher is responsible, she storms into the school demanding to know what's going on. But then the story also unfolds through the eyes of the mother, the teacher, and the child. So you see the
Hmm.
perspectives, and you see also how the characters react based on the perspective of the person, because it's like at the moment that you see all of them, right, they're all, you can't say any of them is a reliable storyteller because you're seeing each person through the eyes of this person. Like if I'm the mother, right, and I'm a single mother, I'll be sort of seeing anyone, with a little bit sense of distrust, or if you're so sure that this person has been committing some kind of like um you know whatever against
Yeah,
my
you'll be
child,
overprotective
then
in
you
a
will
way.
see
Yeah, you'll
them
be
with a bit
aggressive.
more,
Yeah,
yeah, you see
yeah.
them with a bit more anger, you see them more villainously. And similarly when it's through the teacher, again, like the way the administration is around him, the way that the kids are, like it just it's a very beautiful thing because everyone's an unreliable storyteller, but you feel so it's kind of the opposite of Saltburn, really. In Saltburn, you don't like anyone. In here, you're
Hmm.
rooting for everyone that you
You
just
want the
feel
best for them.
horrible because you want the best for everybody because every single person is a good person. It's just that the circumstances that and the chain of events that is happening are so out of their
Hmm.
control, and they don't know. You know that all of them are trying their best, but then there's unintentional consequences for other people, and then there's kids involved, and kids again are unsure about the consequences that their actions have on other people. And poof, what a
Yeah.
film, honestly. Like this film took my breath away. Like it was, I could not stop thinking about it. I still like honestly, I look at my letterbox and I think about it
Hmm.
again. And it's such a, like, he's such a wonderful filmmaker.
Yeah,
So
this was not on my radar at all, so I'm really glad you flagged this one because it's going to be hard to watch it. I find it. I mean, it's probably not going to get a wide theatrical release unless I'm missing something.
yeah, I think it's probably gonna be
Movie. It
on
sounds like a
movie.
very movie kind of
Yeah,
movie, right? Yeah.
very much
Yeah,
movie. Yeah,
so
yeah,
Monster. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that one because the other ones we discussed, they will probably get a wide release, most of them, except maybe Dear
yeah,
Jassi, I guess.
definitely.
But the other
Yeah,
ones you can probably watch soon. But this one is something that you should keep your mind at and try to find it when it comes out. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like people who've seen any of his other films, who've seen like Shoplifters, especially because again, I think Shoplifters was the first time I actually heard of
Hmm.
Korida as a director, and it's just the sheer amount of critical work that was done on Shoplifters after that was just, it was
Mm.
everywhere. Everybody was talking about it. There were so many influences. Like all these filmmakers wanted to like, uh, they were just so enamored by that
Yeah.
film. They just, it's very much like, how sometimes in India when like Bollywood sees like the odd Malayalam film and they're like, "Matlab, aise stories, how do you
Yeah.
even think of these?" Like, I think that's how everyone, because it's so simple, it's so in a day to day life, but it's just the intensity of the
Mm.
emotions. Like people just suddenly are like, "Oh, how did you even show this and make us all
Yeah,
feel this?"
yeah. I'm gonna bookmark it on Letterbox or whatever, so I don't miss it. And if I'm in the mood, I will
Hmm.
try to watch Shoplifters too. Uh,
Yeah, but like I think it's very hard to come into that
yeah.
mood. It's just like one of those days because it will make you, again, I don't know how to say it. It'll make you sad, but you won't feel
Hmm.
hopeless. Like there's still like
Yeah,
hope.
that's good. At least
So
there's something to
that's
latch
the
on to,
thing.
hope.
Yeah, there's something to
Mm.
latch on to. Like you don't feel like you like, oh, everything is ended, everything is horrible, nothing can be fixed,
Mm.
nothing can be like, it leaves you still with like some sense of like, oh, like, okay, कुछ
Yeah,
तो अच्छा होने
good.
वाला है. Like maybe even though whatever happened now has been
Yeah.
devastating,
Okay.
but
I think Shoplifter is on streaming. I think I saw it on Hulu, if I'm not
mm,
mistaken, but I'm sure it's on video on demand, so people can probably check it out.
yeah, it might be
Yeah.
probably.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this was lovely, Yamini. Thank you for your report, and I
Yeah.
think we'll after this we'll log off, and then we'll put in your interview with Tarsem Singh about Dear Jassi.
Mhm.
Yamini, where can people find you online, and maybe plug your letterbox? If you're active there.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Papacharu. Though lately I've not been really comment on anything except what's going on in the world, especially with Palestine. And my letterbox, again, my reviews aren't very. My reviews are really what I'm feeling at the moment, like yeah, like Fincher kya kar raha hai, or things like that. It's not really like, oh, David Fincher did this, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a Yam Bam on Letterboxd if you guys would like to follow. And yeah,
Great. I'm at Asim
so
Bernie, and we'll be back with our regular scheduling very soon for the ones that are missing it. But I really enjoyed this. I'm in because it's not. I mean, we all like back when we had you podcast, we used to talk about all kind of movies. Now with Khandan, we've been more Bollywood
yeah.
focused, but I like all movies, so I'm really excited for all of the ones that you got to see, and it put them back on radar, and it also excited me for new ones that I was maybe just like meh about. So thank you for covering
Hmm.
London Film Festival, Yamini,
No worries,
and
thank
here's your
you.
interview with Tarsem Singh.
With Dear Jassi, right? Like, one thing I absolutely loved was I love that you did use the words honor killing because, of
I
course,
did not.
exactly
Yes.
because there's nothing honorable about it. But I want to ask, like, what particularly sets this film apart from other films that deal with the same themes?
Because I tell you what, in this particular one, it's more than that for the sole reason that I reverse engineered the whole film about a phone call that I know the mother had with the people who were hired to kill her daughter and this thing. And when I heard that, and I just said, now you reverse engineer and just you can never justify it. But in what world do these people live that you actually think that that conversation could even take place? So then I put my kind of family into that situation. And I just thought they mean well and they do horrendous shit. And while hitting themselves, they will hurt you 20 million times more. How do you justify that? So I reversed engineered the film from that. And then I just said, can't call it honor killing because I just think I'm giving it as a challenge for a year to every journalist that I meet. Please come up with a name that takes the word honor out of that particular one because it is just such a horrible thing to think that there's something honorable about killing a child that wants to live the rest of their life with somebody else. And it'll be up to you also. So take it and change it. So it isn't about honor killing. It was just that I heard about the situation and I just said, I show the family it's not a religious problem. It's a cultural problem. on what is happening. It happens among the Muslims, it happens among the Sikhs, it happens among the Hindus. Sometimes it's economical, sometimes it's religious, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's economical, that the guy, political, it can be anything like that. So I just said like, no, there's just be no room for it. And it's probably something that was a lot more prevalent before. The world is changing and becoming better, but the more we talk about it, the more the tolerance will tend towards zero.
The story of Jassi and Mithu was one that was really heavily publicized, like when the killing happened, and,
Right.
So I feel, what decisions did you take to picturize this like recreation of the story? Like, what do you feel were?
Well, I kind of stayed truthful to it as much as possible. The only thing is that changed the structure a bit by having the bard tell the story, the intro and the outro, and then just to give you a tendency that you might think of this Romeo and Juliet, but there is a much harsher ending to our characters. So I kind of had to seed that up front so people don't get so thrown out in the end that they just get angry at instead of at the people who did it, they get angry at the story. So for me, just that was required. That's where the poetic license went in. Otherwise, everything that happened is what happened. So a lot of my friends, when they started saying like, well, this is kind of like Romeo and Juliet, so those parts you took from the play, and I go like, no. That's how they met. They used to meet in her side window thing. It was actually a cornfield because they were next to each other, but I put it in the middle of their small street because I couldn't find that particular kind of village because when Ludhiana has grown up so much, I had to go much closer to the Pakistani border to shoot it. So I just said, I'm just looking at that kind of changes I made. They got married actually in Ludhiana. I changed it to Chandigarh. That's the poetic license that I took because I didn't want it to spend my money on art direction. And at the same time, people just wondering, oh, but that scooter didn't exist or that didn't exist. I said, I don't really care. I just want to minimize that and tell their story. So very little is made up. So my friend said, but you made up the drugging thing because that's from Romeo and Juliet. I said, that is exactly what they did. They gave cow tranquilizers to the family so they could meet. So then I realized that it was so close to Romeo and Juliet, I might as well embrace it. So instead of when the guy says he Ranja, I just subtitled it Romeo and Juliet. I just said so the West knows that we are aware of this. They might not be aware of it. He wouldn't have been Romeo. He wouldn't have known Romeo and Juliet. But that's what they were doing.
Yeah. So I'd also read that you said this film was about 20 years in
23 years, in fact. People ask me, did it take that long? I said, no, it took very little time. It was just 23 years ago is when I heard about it, and I told my brother that we should make this movie straight away or wait for 2 decades when it's enough retro to tell the story. Then I did The Fall, and then just took me out from anything. So I just said, okay, now I've done my personal films, did some Hollywood films, I was about to go to India to do some commercial cinema, and then Gulshan Grover introduced me to Vakal films, and I just felt like, I want to do commercial cinema, I love it, but at the same time there's this story, do you want to make it? And they just said like, whatever it'll take to do business with you. And I just said, okay, let's make it, and then it just came together in like literally months. So we just went there. The only thing was the cast was going to be very tough. So when it came out, I just told them, no, it can't be anybody from Bollywood. It can't even be a guy from a town. It has to be from a village because their Punjabi is completely different. The girl can't be from another part of America. It has to be the Canadian culture that exists out there. So I gave such a strong brief that literally we had 24 hours before we were going to fall apart before I found the girl without meeting her, just on the telephone. And I just said, okay, you're it. Just get the things and get over there, and we made it.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I wanted to come to, the casting. So the casting of like both Jassi and Mithu, one incredible casting because we don't know these people, very fresh, very new, and very raw talent.
Very naive, very accepting of everything, and kind of like what I did in The Fall, I shot it in sequence. So when they met in the beginning, that is the first scene that shot first, the second, the kabaddi scene was shot first, the second scene when they came over, the third scene. I shot them in sequence, and of course, invariably, they were so nervous and falling in love, literally, as it went along. And I just said, wow, it was kind of like, wasn't programmed, but it was hopeful to see that that's what would happen. The dynamics of it worked out very much in my favor. That's why I didn't want people to come in and start acting and ask me what's the next line. I just said the lines are guidelines. They're written, by a guy who speaks Hindi, who I spoke to in English, and I speak Punjabi. He doesn't speak Punjabi. You speak Punjabi. So I'm just going to tell them situations. There are no lines, so I couldn't. When they tried, some girls, we started, okay, I learned the lines, and I said, it's not that. I'm just going to tell you the story. We're going to sit down in the room, and you're going to talk to him, and that's the script.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Wow. So, were there any films or directors who served as an influence for the way you wanted to shoot this film?
Great question. Very much so. In this one, quite different from everything that I've done, because I do tend to do fantastical
Yeah.
stuff. And I just said, like, this Paramandish had to be such a raw story that when I told the writer, I told him that two references that don't belong together is what's going to happen in this. There is Gaspar Noé, Haneke, who make really these hardcore subject films, but and they're very disturbing. They go there,
Yeah.
and then there's Iranians that'll make a film about somebody whose bicycle got stolen or can't find his homework, and make it like the end of the or a divorce, and make it the end of the world. So I said, imagine that a script is written for Gaspar Noé and this thing, that because the subject matter is quite harsh, but it gets directed by the woman Shirin Nishad, the Iranian, who shoots in tableaus. And if there's something violent happening here, she just points at like that bed. So I just thought, I said, think like that. That's how I'm going to shoot it. So the two will not belong in each other. The subject matter is much more harsh, but the storytelling of it is going to be like how the Iranian neorealist films get made. So I kind of took those. I love the cinema of those two. Originally, I'm always from the Tarkovsky school and Parajnov school. I come from that one. I just took that out this time.
Okay. And finally, so what are your hopes and plans for Dear Jassi, just in general?
Right now, I'm just going to enjoy going around, trying to get more eyeballs on the film.
Yeah.
But probably going to go off and do a big action flick in India that they're putting together.
Really?
I'd love to do it. I just want to do a Boom Dalaka Dishu movie, and it's coming together quite quickly. So let's see if it goes ahead quickly.
I'm really glad that I got to see the film. Really glad I got to
Thank you.
talk to you, and I'm really excited to see what you're going to do next.
Me too.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
so much, sir.
Wow.
Podcast on the acting class.